Hello, fellow realtors and board members. Roger Kopernik here, president of the Water Wonderland Board of Realtors. I want to welcome everybody to my third podcast. Tonight, I'd like to focus on some of the resources that are available to all of us through the Michigan Realtors. One of the first things I'd like to bring up are the Michigan Realtor magazines. I don't know if you have a chance to look at these or the National Association Realtor magazines, but they're always filled with cool articles. And a lot of times, I think generally a lot of us go right to some of the legal questions that are answered, because a lot of realtors have a lot of questions that have to do with issues they're working with on a particular sale or deal. And the latest issue to come out was the Michigan Realtor Legal Hotline. If you haven't opened this up and started paging through it, you're in for a big treat and a surprise. I guarantee it. A lot of these issues are the ones that we run into, and every single page is full of great examples. And also, if you've ever gone online, you can log into the Michigan Realtor website, and right under the Law Library, when you click the drop down, they've got every single thing you can possibly think of with agency, environmental, purchase agreements, offers, team members, anything you can think of, it's in there, and it's really detailed. We've got a great library with examples and everything that happened in certain cases. Anyway, I want you to open this up and take a peek at it, and this would also be great for brokers to read at meetings, just to get some conversation going. And I've got a couple of things I just want to read here just to go through as we're looking at this. A couple of them. One of them is on buy-sell agreements. I represent a buyer who put in an offer on a home where there were multiple offers. My client's offer was not accepted. We have reason to believe that my client's offer was in fact the highest and best. Are we entitled to see a copy of the offer that was accepted by the sellers in order to verify that this was the highest and best offer? No. Moreover, it does not matter whether the accepted offer was in fact the highest and best. As long as the sellers did not engage in unlawful discrimination, for example, on the basis of national origin, they were not required to accept the highest and best offer or otherwise treat all offers equally. A primer on multiple offers prepared especially for buyers in this situation is available on the Michigan Realtor website. I have that primer. So if I'm working with a buyer and he's looking at a bank-owned property, he or she, and they feel that, well, how come they're not looking at our offer? How come, how's it already gone before it even started? We have to make it clear as we read this to them. A seller who receives an offer can accept, reject, or counter the offer. In addition, the seller can choose to do nothing. A seller can choose to sit on an offer while waiting for a second offer or not. A buyer can request that a seller respond in writing. However, the seller has no legal obligation to do so. Further, a realtor acting on behalf of the buyer is generally prohibited from contacting directly any seller who is represented by a realtor. So it's great to share this with your buyers who are sometimes they'll get upset. They feel that the real estate agents aren't being honest with them, and anything can happen. I try to explain that the bank or the seller, they can work with any buyer they want in any order they want, and they don't have to let us know. Anyway, this is just one thing that I read. Let me read another one here. I have a listing on a home owned by a married couple. That's not the one. I'm sorry. Forgive me for that. Does a buyer's agent have the legal right to present his client's offer to the seller, or at least be present when his client's offer is presented to the seller? No, there is nothing in Michigan that grants such a right. Sellers can determine whether or not they wish to entertain an offer directly from a cooperating agent. Now, depending on what area you're in Michigan, from what I understand, we're in the northern Michigan area here. I really don't see it that much, but from what I've heard, there's some agents that want to be there to submit the offer along with you to the seller. And there's no law that says they have to be there. It's up to the seller, actually. So It's another one. And then I've got one more here on, it has to do with vacant land. I am listing vacant land. Should I have my seller complete a vacant land disclosure form? Sellers of vacant land are not legally required to provide a disclosure forms. Sellers who do provide vacant land disclosure forms should be cautioned against making any representations where they are unsure. Unlike the statutory required residential seller disclosure form, the seller could be held liable for an innocent representation made in a vacant land disclosure form. Now, I think when I first started, I used to always supply them. It's up to the seller. It's up to, if the seller's not sure about something, I think that's either way. But just so you know, it's not required that you have to do that. So I just want to say that we've got a lot of resources available. This magazine issue is just full of so many great things to look over. I'd recommend that everybody take a peek at it. And a lot of times, it's not always about whether you read everything or not, or to be successful, do you have to read this magazine? No, but to be informed about your business, and if you can learn one thing a day, that's always important for all of us. And that's my goal, to always try to read something or one of these articles, because all of us from morning till night get very, very occupied. I don't even like to say the word busy, because it seems like everybody's busy. But if we can find time to read some of this stuff, it'll benefit in the long run, I promise. Have a great night, and thank you for listening.